This is the Light Phone 2. It has been labeled as the most productive phone, and I've been using this device for over a year now, and it has completely transformed my productivity and workflow. So in this video, I just wanted to do a review, share some insights and experience of using this device for over a year. Hi, if you're new to my channel, thanks for stopping by. Here we talk about productivity, minimalism, tech, and intentional living. If you do enjoy this video and want to see more, please consider subscribing. We're a brand new channel, so it helps us out a lot. In a world where we're constantly trying to stay connected and trying to do as much as possible, the Light Phone company stands out by taking a completely different approach, by simply focusing on doing less. A device that intentionally limits its capabilities to the bare bone essential to help provide a more meaningful and mindful tech experience. I personally have been a digital minimalist for close to 5 years now, and if you're like my old self, constantly stuck to your screens, mindlessly scrolling through social media and not feeling like you're in control, this device will definitely help with that. So let's get into it. First up, the outer. The Light Phone 2 has a really nice design. It's small, it's slim, and it has a small form factor that fits really well in the hand. The whole thing is made out of plastic, but it does have this matte finish. The buttons are also super clicky. In terms of its screen, it uses a e-ink display, which if you ever used a Kindle, for example, it's exactly like that. It is in black and white and it switches and glitches every time the screen changes. In terms of the ports, it does have a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is amazing, but unfortunately it has a micro USB, which in 2024 is pretty damn bad. The UI is super clean, it doesn't have any icons, just the text itself, and the online dashboard also works very well. So it has your phone, text message, you also do get music and podcasts, along with map, alarm, and calendar, which is newly introduced. And really, these are everything that you probably need from a phone. So let's talk a little bit about what it's like using this phone. For phone calls, it sounds great. It's almost identical to the quality on a smartphone, so there's no problem on that. For text messaging though, it is a little bit inconvenient because when you text, the screen turns horizontal to use the QWERTY keypad. It doesn't work very well with the e-ink screen, but it does have voice to text, which is my preferred method. By being uncomfortable to use, I tend to just call people now. It just feels more personal. You have a deeper connection to the person on the other side. And I really enjoy that aspect. I'm not sure if they intentionally made it difficult to use, but if they did, credits to them. For music, you will have to download MP3 files and upload to their online dashboard, which is a bit of a faff. But in a weird and twisted sense, it makes me appreciate the music that I do have a lot more. Podcasts, on the other hand, is great. No need to manually upload them. The podcast app uses the internet and shows us the latest episode of your favorite shows. The direction or map tool is just unusable. It doesn't work very well with the e-ink screen, so I tend to just plan my journeys ahead of time or just ask for directions. Calendar works great, and you're able to connect your Google Calendar to this, which is great. Personally, I don't use this a lot. I tend to just plan everything on my computer, but sometimes I do use it to see some reminders. Now, unfortunately, the battery is the worst part of this phone. Especially in poor signal areas, the phone just constantly tries to find better signal, and that just drains the battery. Sometimes it goes down 10% every hour, which is crazy. For example, while I was at university, it was perfect. The battery lasted me well over a day, maybe sometimes 2 days. After graduating and moving back home, the signal in this city is really bad. The battery went down very quickly and barely made it to 2 p.m., which is a deal breaker. And as much as I like this phone, unfortunately, that is the reason why I have stopped using this phone. And I have started using this other phone called Unihertz Jelly Star, which I'll do another review on. Now that we've gone through the whole phone, I want to talk a little bit of the pros and cons of using a dumb phone like this. 1. Calmness. You feel more confident and in control of your life. It feels like everything is on 0.5 times speed, and and you start noticing the small aspects of your daily life, whether that's the weather, a nice interaction you had with a barista, and I think this makes life really meaningful. 2. Dopamine detox. The black and white screen, although is difficult to use, but by being monochrome, the phone does make it less interesting to use. No more constantly scrolling through social media, no comparison to influencers, and finally, not constantly being stimulated. 3. Less distraction. You're not getting notified when people are posting something, checking unimportant emails or DMs, pinging in the background, grabbing your attention, because all of these unnecessary stuff can wait. It just allows a more uninterrupted focus time to whatever you're doing. 4. You just feel like you have all the time in the world. Now you spend it on spending time with friends and family or picking up new hobbies. For example, I recently really got into bouldering, and that's been great. I wouldn't have otherwise done that. 5. Better relationships. Like I said before, due to it being hard to text, calling becomes the primary option to be in contact with someone. You feel more connected when hearing someone's voice. It's more personal. And honestly, calling is such a more proficient way to get information across, instead of countless messages to explain a simple point. And last but not least, it's a conversation starter. It's a very unique device. I have had dozens of new interactions and conversations with strangers simply for holding this phone and for them to be intrigued on what I'm using. They're always intrigued about this particular way of living, and it can be an icebreaker in many situations. And because of this, you also make more friends who are interested in similar stuff. Now you might be wondering, I've said all of this good stuff about the Light Phone 2. What's bad about it? Well, honestly, there's barely any. And it's simply because most of the cons actually turn into pros. Like going from text messaging to calling someone, like the screen being so unusable that you just use it less. There's simply hardly anything wrong with this except for the battery. And I'm not saying this phone is perfect. You will need to get used to it. It's a lifestyle choice to use a special device like this. And there will be workarounds. You can't just call up an Uber or check the bus time. You will have to have alternative ways to be in contact with people, perhaps internationally. Even bringing a wallet is something new to a lot of people, as we just pay with the phone these days. But to sum everything that we've talked about up, I would highly recommend this phone. If you can get over the price, it's well worth it. For those of you who don't want to pay the $299 price tag, I would highly recommend checking out the used market on Reddit. They have a whole page on people trying to sell their Light Phone 2. So I'll also leave links to these in the video description below. And guess what? I actually got mine from Reddit. I think I paid £150, which is a steal. That's half the price. And you also have to remember that if you are buying it outside of the US, there will be tax. And do be aware that there are two versions of this device, the international and the North American NA. Because getting the wrong version, your phone just simply won't work. I've been on a hunt for the perfect dumb phone for years. And although this phone is not perfect, it has been my daily driver for the longest time, and for good reasons. But don't take my word for it. Everyone is different, so just try it out yourself. Thank you guys for watching, but until next time, take care and live intentionally.